Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who at best, if he wins, knows the thrills of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly."
I find that if you fill your day and your mind with productive things, the negative things are those things.
Sitius, Altius, Fortius. Stronger, higher, faster. That is the motto of the Olympics. And we all know that the most recent Olympics just ended. The dust has settled. And of course, we have celebrated the winners, of most especially our double gold medalists, Kaloy Yulo, our boxers. But I think we should also celebrate the other athletes who carried the flag, who fought and fought hard for the country. And I think there is a lot to be learned, a lot of lessons we can pick up from our mga kababayan natin who went, and even if they fell short, at least they tried, and they tried valiantly. And none other, when talking about going higher, I don't think anyone went higher literally than our guest today, Mr. EJ Obiena. EJ, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you
for coming.
Oh, please. It's a pleasure, bro. Thanks.
How are you feeling now? It's almost a month already after the Olympics. I know you're battling some sort of injury. How are you physically?
Physically, I think I'm not in the best shape of my life. I feel a little bit disabled in a way. I can't run. I can't do a lot of stuff. I should avoid it, any load bearing, to let the bone heal. So, yeah, it's a bit of a challenge because my way to decompress during off season is still active.
Yeah.
I like playing tennis.
I was just gonna say for sasabihin ko sana as athletes, no, but for you athletes, especially the elite athletes, when you're not able to work out, to sweat, or do something, any light exercise, it's as if you have been decapitated, right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel very limited, and it's low key very annoying for I can't do anything that I love. I can't even drive aggressively because I shouldn't put load in my back, and I love driving fast cars. So
wow,
it's just it is what it is. I need to let it heal, but yeah, I think, as you said, after a month of Olympics, I think where the dust has settled and emotions have dwindled, and yeah, you think a little bit clearer, better. I would say better.
Well, we're going to go there in a bit. But first, the way we start our podcasts with our guests is to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your story. How did you get to be at this elite level, to become an elite athlete, to become an Olympian?
That's a long story.
Yeah, because I know that you were a high school athlete, and you were really in hurdles. And well, your parents were track and field stars, right? But so how did that? What is that beginning?
I was born in Tondo in November of 1995, and I really come from a family that's not well off, so we don't have a yaya. And my dad was still active as an athlete, so my mom would bring me while she takes videos and help my dad in training. So ako, as a kid, you roam around the track. That's how I got introduced to the sport. It literally was a playground for me, and hanging out with all these national athletes at that time in Rizal Memorial. Now it's a football stadium, but before it was a track and field area. So that's how I started in track, and we played around. I did a lot of different events, but I ended up doing hurdles the most because pole vault was not accessible for that age at that time. We don't, yung palarong pambansa po, wala pong pole vault sa elementary. Hopefully we'll change that. That's for another day. But yeah, now, so when I reached high school po, I started vaulting. It was not good. I've never won palarong pambansa. If people say I was good when no, that's a fact. That's a proof.
In pole vault,
I've never won it. I got the best finish I got, I think, a silver medal finish. So
So that's a discovery for us, dear audience. Would you imagine he's won world championships, gone to the Olympics, but never winning the Palarong Pambansa?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It took a long time, and as a high schooler, there's a few schools that you want to get in, and being from where I came from, I saw sport as an opportunity for me to get scholarship.
Definitely.
So I was just trying to be one of the best of the group, of the bunch of people who hopefully we're gonna get recruited by the big schools, Ateneo, LaSalle, UST, and UP. So I achieved that, and that's what made me take pole vaulting a little bit more serious. But it's always been a ticket. Then
But I know you first entered the Ateneo, right? Were you already pole vaulting then?
yes, well,
okay.
I was recruited because of that pole. So I got a full scholarship. Unfortunately, things happened. My scholarship got taken away, so I needed to
move to UST.
Yes, I moved to UST, and long story. I competed for UST a couple of years, and doors opened when Sergey Bubka came and he was campaigning.
Yes.
And then he offered a scholarship, and then I met my current coach now, which I've worked for 10 years.
See Petrov?
Yes,
Yeah.
Vitaly Petrov.
So, but when you were pole vaulting, so you were competing in the UAP
Yes,
pole vault
pole vault and hurdles, actually.
hurdles. Okay.
At one point, I held the hurdles UAAP record for a year lang po. But yeah, it was good fun. It's good.
Very interesting for me because I also was in the track and field team aside from basketball, and I was a discus thrower.
Wow.
In high school. Yeah, there were for several years I held the record for discus throw. High school.
Wow.
College hindi na. But
So
I'm
that's
very
fun.
interested in sports.
Yeah.
In track and field, I'm very interested in that. Okay, so that's when it opened up. So you're
Yes.
doing hurdles and pole vaulting at the same time, and then you met your coach.
Yes.
Okay, so
And it just showed me, the athletic culture. Because for basketball, I would say, hopefully I'm not wrong, that like the country that has the biggest competition is the US. So for athletics, it's Europe.
yes,
The best of the best competes in Europe. And suddenly, an 18-year-old kid was sent there, not knowing what it is. And then I arrived in the track. I remember the first time going into the track
in Italy.
in Italy.
Okay,
And looking around, and I see all these superstars that I only get to watch on YouTube. And then I'm just like, my view of the sport changed. And then I slowly got more absorbed into it, and I got a little bit more passionate. But those first couple of years in Italy, it was still a ticket for me for a better future. It wasn't like I want to be a pole vaulter.
okay,
Yeah, then, I got injured in 2017, torn my ACL and MCL. I had 6 months to kind of think, deliberate, what exactly do I want to do? How do I feel about the sport? And what exactly is it for me? And yeah, that's where I missed it. I said, I want to try. And that's where I really took up pole vaulting as, I would say, as like the priority of my day-to-day activities. That's when,
So that was, if you will just term it, kind of like the first significant adversity. You had an ACL, MCL injury.
Yes.
But that made you realize how much you missed the sport, how much you missed
Yes.
pole vault. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, at that point you still were not sure that you wanted to pursue pole vault.
because pole vaulting has always been my dad's event.
Okay.
I was put into it. I got into it. I saw it as a ticket. It was never really, my passion to do it. It was never really like, oh, if it's been taken away, but I'm already done with school, I don't really care. Like it was like a ticket. It wasn't what
It
you
was like a
aspire.
means to something else. Yeah.
Exactly.
So that's a very interesting insight because normally when we talk about elite athletes, especially athletes who get to the Olympics, we associate them with almost child prodigies, right? They came up very young. They were thinking about it already. Ito na talaga yung pupuntahan ko, and they went at it with one track determination, one track single-minded, and all that. You were not at all that way.
I don't fit that mold at all.
Yes, that's very interesting. but it took the adversity for you to find out how much you missed
Yes.
but I would imagine that that point, Olympics, World Championships wasn't in your
It was.
vision yet, or
It
you
was.
started. Okay,
I was starting to break. I think at that time my ranking in the world was like 50, 45, and it wasn't. I was not one of the best, I would say. I was getting there. I was knocking on the doors, but it wasn't. I was not the big dog. I wasn't really there. But when it was taken away, I realized how much it meant to me, and I said, I really love this sport, and I feel like I could do much more, and I want to try. And that's where everything kind of sinked in, and I said, I'll take this leap of faith. Like, you know that sometimes you make decisions, it's not the reasonable, or it's not the decision that you're statistically should take, but deep down, deep inside, if I don't take this, I'm gonna regret this. And at that point, there was a hard conversation, parents, because I said I want to focus on my sport, and I said I'm going to take a leave of absence from UST, which I only had, I think, a year and a half to go, but it's already 2017. And it was a hard conversation, and I said, I'm not living in a fairy tale. I said to them, I don't make Tokyo, I'll admit it, I can't. And I say, I'll study, I'll go back. That's my deadline. I did everything that I can, and it was definitely a battle, but good thing I had 6 months to commit to it because of the recovery, and really, commit myself into something I want to achieve. And I, God willing, I was able to qualify for my first Olympic Games, and
parang ano pala ito, absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, in a way,
Being away from it made you realize how much you loved it. And I think that's, again, I wanted to just hone in on that. You had the goal, you had the dream, and you said that, okay, you're going to make a leap of faith. But when you made that leap of faith, you also had milestones. So it wasn't just like, bahala na, but you had a milestone wherein you said, if I don't make Tokyo, then I know that's not for me.
Yes.
Then I'll go ahead and do something else.
Yes.
So that's fair how we know this. So I think the what our audience can take from there is that the libre mangarap eh. There's no cost to dreaming and all that, but you have to always mix in a certain element of reality.
Definitely.
And I think what you did, number one, that difficult conversation was very important. I can imagine how difficult that was. But at least you also put in kind of the milestone that, hanggang dito lang, 2020, supposed to be in Tokyo.
Yes, po.
2020. So basically, you were giving yourself, 2.5, 3 years?
3 years
to get there. So you made that decision. You recover from your injury. You started getting stronger. Were there any breakthroughs or significant events then that happened?
I had a breakthrough, I would say 2019. It's the point where I surpassed my personal best. So like I guess in basketball terms, you scored your career high in a game after your injury. So that's where I guess I step out of the shadow of the pre-ACL guy. And that's where I could honestly say as well, that injury made me better in a way.
But what allowed you to do it? Why what was there better training? Were you more focused? Were you doing extra work? What do you think allowed you to gradually?
I was focused like before I was studying and training. I was a student athlete, so sometimes sleep.
Oh yes, correct.
And that point, I started focusing only in the event, and I mean, basketball players get ACL a lot, and I, at least for my personal experience, I think it was back in like 4 months. Like my strength, like stability, 4 months. I was like,
4 months is fast.
It's fast. But mentally, it took me, I guess, a year to really trust my knee that it's there. It's back into what it is. And I think that breakthrough where I broke away from the post ACL personal best, that just opened like a bit of the horizon for me. And yeah, that year I improved 20 centimeters, which is quite big. Yeah.
Yeah, for those who don't know, the real problem coming or recovering from ACL is obviously the physical part, but I think if you interview those who have come and recovered from ACL injuries, it's kind of just step one. The more difficult part is the mental, right?
Yeah.
Just getting that confidence again of going hard and landing on that on that leg.
You need to plant it like you mean it, you know? And
I can imagine from your end
it takes
that the
time.
planting, getting up, and then landing from 6 meters or something. But I'm a believer that goals have energy. Did you experience that when you set that goal, 2020 Tokyo, the Olympics? Yes, you became more focused, but did you feel that it also lent kind of everything, your training, your mindset, your preparations, kind of had an energy of its own? That's why it just propagated and you kept getting better and better and getting stronger.
In some shape or form.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put it exactly to that because there was a lot of doubts. So to kind of give a bit more perspective, I never qualified for an Olympic Games, and I was not in that level before tearing my ACL. I was a world 40 athlete at best. So it wasn't like I knew I just needed to get back and have that final stretch. It was a bit.
It wasn't that simple.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if I could even do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, at that time, I didn't know. And I think that's where your idea come in. Like having that goal, so focused on it, things starts falling into place. And you go through that daily struggle as a process. You don't see it as a struggle. You see it, okay, this is that step
You
for
see
me
it
to
as
get
steps,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that's how I kind of develop it.
What made you go through those struggles? What made you push through?
I have 3 years. If not, then I'm gonna give up something that I truly love and accept it. If that day comes, I hope I can live with it. That means I turned every stone I can. I did everything that I could, day in, day out, and there's not gonna be a regret.
Yes.
Comes to a point where I need to face reality, and it was a great motivator, I would say.
I think you touched on another great point there where our experience is there's a lot of the people who have achieved great success in their life, in their career, or in their work. They have that mindset of they'd rather live a life where they tried something, didn't make it, as against regretting that I didn't even try.
Exactly.
Yun talaga yun, di ba?
For sure.
You'd rather say that you know, when all is said and done, when you're as old as I am, you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, sinubukan ko to, it didn't work out. As against, sayang dapat ginawa. Yeah, di ba?
Yeah, you only regret the chances.
What
you don't
if,
take.
right? What
Exactly.
if, sayang. So, you did it, the breakthrough happened 2019, you said?
Yes.
That got you qualified for the Olympics.
Yes, but
So that first stint in Tokyo Olympics, talk us through that. How was
it didn't went to plan.
Yeah.
I guess it was my first time, maybe coming in a little bit, lacking in the knowledge and the experience of understanding. Okay, this is Olympics. This is not like everything else, or just even the processes. The little things that you kind of accept as reality sometimes. At that time, I was very young, I was very immature, and I was letting things that are out of my control, I would say at that point, really distract me, and really I depend on that. Yeah. So instead of I depend on myself. So it didn't go the way I wanted it, and there was a big question, and it's a very interesting conversation. I think as a coach, you normally encourage athlete to go and move forward. It was quite the opposite conversation with my coach after Tokyo. he sat me down and he said, that was a medal for you and you lost it. And he said, you gave that away in a way, like he was telling me it was
This
quite
was
a
Tokyo, huh?
yeah,
Tokyo.
it's a day after the final where like I was really upset and I was like, I didn't understand what he's trying to deliver. And he said, there are things that a coach can't teach. And he was telling me, I don't know if you have it. And he was telling me, I care for you as a person more than just an athlete. And he said, you need to, look deep down. If you think you got it, like you think you can, fight. It's a war out there. It's not a playground. It's a war, and you need to have that warrior mindset. I don't know if you have that. And I remember that year in 2019, he keeps telling me, you're just too nice. You're just too nice. So, and I was weeping. I remember weeping big time. And that conversation, I think, would stick to me because I hated that conversation and I had so many doubts in my head.
Yeah.
But doubt.
That's what the best coaches do. We tell it like it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's some things that you don't want to hear. But
Yeah. No sugarcoating, just blunt fact.
So I think that's a great insight because at the highest levels, it's no longer only about technical skills or physical skills, right?
Definitely.
There's now that
Yeah.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That X factor, the intangibles that people
Yeah.
call it.
That instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to have that. You need
Yeah.
to have that.
And those things are hard to explain for people who haven't been there, at your levels, the elite athletes, at the Olympic level. It's not only palakasan ng katawan and pabilisan ng takbo, but it's really something deep down, and we're very thankful, EJ, for bringing that up, because for everyone who are listening, it applies not only to sports,
Yes.
but in life, in business, at work, in studies. It's technical skills. I get a chance to talk to a lot of leaders, just gets you invited to the party, just gets you invited to the table. If you really want to excel, there has to be that something that deeper. So what was it that you discovered after that conversation?
I had a 10-day slump in my girlfriend's place and I was eating terrible food. Pizza, everything.
You were very unathletic, un-Olympian for a
No,
while.
I hated it because I hated everything. I was like, I did everything that I could and it came to 11th plate finish. That was not what my efforts, I felt like, equated. And I was just really depressed and I was not answering phones. I was like a black hole of sadness. But it took me quite a while and I said, you know what? I don't know if I have it or not. I want to know. I want to know if I have it. I want to know if I actually have that, like, can I actually battle with these guys and like look them in the eye and say I'm going to win? Let's see.
Yeah.
And that curiosity pushed me to another Olympic cycle. It gave me another 2 years, you know?
This is, we're really enjoying this conversation because we have this picture in our minds of athletes who are like machines. They're like, boom, boom,
No.
boom. Yeah, they're just going one after one level after the next. But here, EJ, thank you for your vulnerability. It's just telling us like it is. Just the athletes, the Olympians, just like us, they have their doubts.
Yeah.
You have your doubts. You don't know if you have what it takes. But you said, you just put your head down and you said, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see if I have it.
Because I think that would haunt me the rest of my life as well. If I never even, hindi ko sinubukan.
Correct.
You'll be curious. Physically, I'm there. I could compete. I already have the skill. What am I lacking? And if that thing that's lacking, can I actually learn it? Can I actually obtain it? Is it the skill or is it something that I'm born with? And I was curious. I didn't want that failure to be my outing in the Olympics. And 3 years later, I'm in Paris, I guess,
So before we move on, I think some golden lessons here. The first is, the ability to have that goal, set that goal, and have a milestone, a timetable for that goal is very important. Number 2, be willing to do everything it takes. And then number 3, knowing that, if you don't succeed, your willingness to have a real, honest self-assessment. Really looking deep inside to figure out, in EJ's words, do you have it? Do I have it? And I think that's very, very important. And then understanding that you want to live a life of, it doesn't matter if you don't succeed, as against living a life of regret. I think
Yes.
For everything that EJ has shared, those are the lessons that are popping out that everyone, all of us can learn from in our pursuit of anything worthwhile. Because we all know that, right? Nothing worth achieving, nothing significant worth achieving is going to come easy.
Yes.
Everything has a price.
Definitely.
And I think it's important na natutunan natin from EJ, if you have doubts, it's fine. It's okay. It's natural. It's normal. It's what you do with those doubts.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's what you do.
You let them devour you, or you challenge it, and you test it, and you'll know one way or
in
another.
your mind, it was, when the doubts came, your response was, let's see what
let's
it's
see.
made of. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
And it was again, like it was a challenge. It was a continuous process, and I realized it's not something that you're born with.
Oh, yes.
You learn that.
Yeah.
You learn that. You get to, you rubbed shoulders with these guys. You realize they're not that different.
Mm-hmm.
They might be white. They might be a little bit taller. They might be a little bit, different than me. But
Yeah.
we're not that different. I could do some things better than these guys are, and they can do some things that I need to improve on. So I realized that, and you start to look at the sport in a very different way, and you realize that the physical aspect of the event is important, but the mental side of the game,
Yun talaga.
that's the make or break. It doesn't,
the difference maker, right?
yeah. Sometimes the body does, sometimes the body, even like now in Paris, my body I would say was not ready for that. The whole season I've been plagued with this injury,
Yeah.
and I've been struggling, and if I'm being honest, that affected my preparation. Physically, I wouldn't say I'm at my prime going into that because of my injuries. But I think my mental side of the game was just right on. Even though I fell short, I'm very proud of what I've achieved. It was a battle. And going into Olympics, I even got a shot, I got the procedure done 2 weeks before. And it really showed me what mentally, that doubt that I had in Tokyo, it was answered 3-folds, 4-folds, and I knew I can compete with these guys, and it wasn't.
So in that sense, it was a victory for you. It was a victory. I mean, it's not a external, outward thing, but just knowing that.
Knowing that, yes, but I think I knew it right on 2022, because it is Olympics. You can't replicate Olympics, but we did have 2 world championships in between, where I compete with the same guys, and at that point, I think deep inside I knew I can compete with these guys. I can win, and that gave me that answer that I was looking for in Tokyo.
So, well, for me, and this is just me speaking, for me, hindi ka naman natalo eh. Pareho lang yung tinalon nyo ng bronze medalist eh. It's just that you had one extra jump lang. They should have made you jump off. That's just me, okay? So
Would have loved that.
Yeah, kaya nga eh. So, but that aside, here is your personal best. Your personal best could have given you a silver medal, at least easily a medal. Talk us to what are your learnings from that when the competition came, you have your personal best, you can achieve this, but at that point you fell short, to be very honest.
Yes.
Okay, we all know, and credit to EJ. Everyone who knew the real story knew that he wasn't 100%, not nearly 100%. We knew you're not 100%, but aside from that, was there anything that you could think of that prevented you from achieving your personal best?
I think so. Because in pole vault, personal best is not really. I would say, of course, it defines, it gives you the statistics and the probability where you're gonna be ranking, but it really depends on the season. I think if I
So you're saying in competition, wala na yun. You can throw all those things away. It
counts,
still
but
counts,
hindi naman po siya yung parang
automatic.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And going in, I think it's more who's performing great in that season. I think in basketball it's the same.
Yes.
You have your favorites, but who plays?
Who gets hot?
Yeah, exactly.
At the right time. Yeah.
And sometimes that thing kind of rolls. And for me, like I said, this injury has been plaguing my career. Well, not my career, my season, since I would say like around April, third week of April, and I've been in and out of like procedures, getting it fixed and getting it done. Considering all of that, I am not in my physical prime. Realistically, could I jump 6 meters? Maybe. But the probability of me jumping that with the circumstances I've dealt with is pretty low. If I'm being honest, jumping 590 in Olympics in the final with the current condition that I was in, it was even a bit of a surprise.
Was a stretch, yeah.
I wasn't surprised in a way, but because I was focused in the competition, but we weren't. I was even worried. I remember that 2 weeks before I said to my coach, "Do we even want to go if I would not qualify for the final?" That was the point where my back was spasming and I can't even run.
So to set the record straight, and this is not EJ offering an excuse or
No,
this is just reality, 100% real talk. What's the injury?
So I have you have an L5 stress fracture at this time, and
so it's been there all throughout since your preparation. Okay.
And I was in pain meds. So we tried the Germany way, which is a homeopathic. I was in Munich for a week trying to really recover it, the healthy way, because there's another way.
Okay.
Dull the pain and power through it. So I went through that, and in June, in June, I spasmed it again when I snapped my pole. This season has not been...
You snapped your pole.
Yeah. This season has not been good for me. So really been a struggle. But when that happened, I basically am a month and a half, or I would say a month and 3 weeks away from Olympics.
Okay.
And I said to myself, I don't have a week to burn anymore. I need to get the quick fix. And I think that quick fix... It doesn't, it's a band-aid solution. Then I needed to get another one before Olympics. Not the best thing to do. But, I live with my choices in it's Olympics. I would have done the same.
I know. Of course, again, for those who don't know, especially for these types of competitions, our preparation, we prepare to the minute, right?
Yes.
I mean, every little detail, you think about it, contingency after contingency plan, you're planning not only your days, like I said, every minute of the training, your nutrition, your diet, everything. So any disruption there is really going to mean that people will say, well, that was just 2-3 days or a week. You still have another 2 weeks remaining.
Yeah, no, that's
no, not at all. Yeah,
that's
not
time.
how it works. Yeah,
exactly, because you want to make your build up the best possible.
Correct.
And sometimes you're dealt with things that limits you to do that. And as much as you want, I am dependent on how my health is, and I can't. As much as you want to fix it or even dull it, there's limitations in what you can do unless you're fully healthy.
Yes. Getting into what we call the ideal competitive state, or to be at your peak, at your best when competition comes. It's still not a guarantee that you're going to win, but at least it increases your chances dramatically. So that happens, and if I may, EJ, when you ended up not medaling in the Olympics, I was just watching you the whole time, and you were, how it is, you're like a fraternity of brothers there, right? If somebody does well, everyone congratulates. The Greek guy who was third place was high five. He was very happy, obviously. You were seated just by yourself, right by the pit where everyone else, and you were stoic. You were expressionless. Take us through that. What was your emotion? What were you thinking about?
It was painful because if you get injured, you don't get to participate. You're last. Well, it is the injury.
Yeah.
You get to the final, you don't perform well. It is the injury. You lose a medal from an attempt, not even the height.
Yeah, it's not the height.
It shows that it could have been. That would haunt me for the rest of my life, and I need to live with that. And I think I've put that chapter to bed. But if I'm gonna go back, I remember looking at that and I'm just, that's it. All the things that you've done, you've sacrificed so much. You've lived a nomadic life outside of your country. I don't see my parents for quite a long time, and here we are. This is the culmination of it. It is an end of a chapter, and you don't go home with the medal. And I was just trying to process that thought in my head and say, how do I find peace with that? And how do I accept that for a fact? How can I see that as a reality? And I remember just looking at the boards, and it's just like, I wish this was a bad dream, and I wake up and it's not yet the final. I was really down. I'm disappointed with myself. I'm disappointed with the position that I ended up with. I needed to process that for a moment, and nobody's words were coming in. It was not sinking in. It's okay. Like my coach was saying, it's not the end of life. It felt like it. It felt like it really put a hole in my identity, in
your heart.
in my heart. That it gave me that because I wanted it that much, and it meant so much for me. And maybe that's the sad part of pole thing. You need to stay there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have to stay there. Yeah.
And basketball, when you're done, you finish the game.
Leave, yeah.
You can leave and kind of process that. Personally, not in the public, I guess, but it was a time that I needed to really let it sink in a bit more and really try to reflect on the things that I went through to be on that day in that spot and come up short because of a single missed attempt that didn't even matter in the long run. So,
okay, so you said in that moment you were asking yourself, how will I find peace in all of this? Have you found it? Did you find?
I think it's some shape or form. At least I can continue my life. I tried to process it without emotions, and I wouldn't say I already found the answer. I already found peace, but I found good enough reason to continue. And what I mean by that is, with all of the things that happened, like I said, I don't really have any regret anymore because I've done everything that I can.
So you may not have found peace, but you think you have made peace with it, with
Yes.
what happened.
Yes, that's a
I think
perfect
that's great,
description.
yeah. If you have made peace with it, then at least now you have a springboard to
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
push forward and carry on.
Yeah. Maybe somewhere along the future we'll find it.
Yes. Again, for those who missed that or those who don't understand, EJ did not lose because he did not jump higher. He just lost because there was one more attempt. It was not a matter of height. It like EJ said, it was just a matter of attempts. And can you imagine, you train your whole life for it, you sacrifice so much, and it was just a matter, not even a matter of inches. It was just a matter of centimeters. Can you imagine? So, for what it's worth, I could really empathize with you. That's why I was fixated. I didn't even see anymore. I barely saw what Duplantis was doing because I was just watching you and just focused on because I could feel that, and I think that's something that our audience can appreciate, the feeling of competitors, especially athletes at the highest levels, when we are representing our country and then we don't get the job done. The feeling that, of course, the first thing is we're very disappointed at ourselves. And we're disappointed that we let the country down. And I love your term. It leaves a hole in the heart, right? It leaves a hole in the heart. But like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right?
Yeah, and life goes on.
And life goes on. The next morning, believe it or not, the sun will rise.
Yep.
And the people that you love, they're still there. They love you. So thank you for sharing that with us. If you can distill it to the three lessons that you learned from that adversity, from going through that ACL injury, from the competition, from again training the final couple of weeks before the Olympics, still battling that injury. What can you take away that you can share with our audience that everyone can learn from? Lessons from adversity from EJ Obiena. Yeah.
I think I would say there's like always a 3-step that I kind of follow. It's like knowing what I want, what I want to achieve. It truly drives you. It truly, it'll make you stand out of bed like in no time. Find that. And the second step would be, how do I get there? Then the third one, I'd say just do it. Just freaking do it. Like find a way. You already know how you get there. It's like, if you want to be a doctor, how do I become a doctor? I need to study. I need to do pre-med. I need to do med school. Now you know the steps. Then now do the work. And I think the story of my career would be pretty similar to that. And I think I choose to try to do the most of my time and, try to live life with as much less regret as I possibly can. I guess that's 3.
As important as goal setting is, like EJ says, it's not enough. You gotta freaking do it, right?
Yes.
Hindi sapat na pangarapin mo lang. Gawin mo. Yeah, you have to find the steps, find the way. The final question we ask our guests is, through all this, what is your superpower?
Resilience.
Resilience.
Yes, sir.
So all through your life, you've proven to yourself that, whatever happens, you can come back.
I think, as a Filipino athlete, if you've seen it, been there, done that, there's a lot of things that the Filipino athletes need to deal with that we don't see in the international stage. Like probably not other nation need to do. And I think that's my, I would say, superpower, but not just mine.
So much is expected of us, but so little support is given.
I didn't even want to dig into that.
Yeah, that's another podcast altogether. Yeah, but yeah, we get that. We always end on one of the other advocacies of the podcast is the value of physical fitness, not only obviously for athletes, but especially for business leaders and regular citizens. I have a leadership model, which I call the heart of the leader. The core of that model, the letter H, is health, physical health. And I remind the leaders that I get to work with and talk to, the foundation of all great leadership is health. How can you even lead if you're not physically fit enough to be there? How can you lead if you're always on sick bay, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about the regular EJ, not the Olympian EJ, on a regular basis. I know you're injured, but if not in the off season, what does your regular day look like? What is your regular routine, from diet to sleep to just what do you do? Workout?
It's a very repetitive thing. Not necessarily, I would say, the healthiest thing to do, because we as athletes, we tend to specialize. It's not the general best thing for us. But correct. So my day would start like at 8 a.m. I'll prepare breakfast, while brushing my teeth and prepare oatmeal or whatnot. Then I go to track. The good thing, the track is walking distance. Like
From your place.
from my place, it's a 10-minute walk. I train for 3 to 4 hours. I end around 1 p.m., have lunch, then go back home. If I do need to do anything in Philippines, the time difference, that's where I get to do it. Like if I need to do like a virtual podcast,
Europe, yeah.
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 or do my groceries, or do the things, send paperworks, and then at around 4:35, I go back to the track, train again until like 8:30, have dinner in the stadium where we have like a cafeteria there, then go back home, take a shower, call my girlfriend, go to sleep. And yeah, you do that 7 days a week, and I would say a good 11 months of a year.
Wow. So the very first thing EJ said, it's very repetitive. So I think I always remind the leaders, it's not in the intensity, it's in the consistency.
Yes.
Just do something every day, 10, 15 minutes every day, you would be surprised. That's number one that jumps out. The second is, and we had Dwight Ramos here already previously, and he said the same thing you said. His day is not complete unless he has had 2 workouts. So same thing with you. So you go to the track in the morning and then one more in the evening before dinner, right?
Yes, boss.
So why is that? Is that anything special to that routine or any?
It's just pole vaulting is such a complex sport. There's a lot of dynamics that needs to be done and a lot of work needs to be. So if I dissect the whole event, if I dissect the whole event in like step by step, we are a sprinter from
sprint.
start
Yeah.
to takeoff. Then we do some sort of long jumps going to the pole. As soon as we leave the ground, that is gymnastics and strength. To control that, we need the core stability. We need all that power to control the pole and finish, and then awareness of the body going down, and all of that I don't think you can compress it into 1 day training and
Into once a day training, only once a day, yeah.
That's why I would say my coach makes us do that.
And
Hopefully less next time.
but again, not the first guy who said that here. The value of the routine, the consistency, and if you want to excel, want to get to the next level for elite athletes like EJ, one workout, one practice a day is not enough. One practice is what everyone does. If you want to be special, separate yourself from the rest, you gotta do more than the rest are willing to do. Maraming salamat. We are 1 hour na tayo.
Oh, really?
50 already? Wow, that was fast.
a good question.
Thank you very much, EJ. I thought, again, I want to thank you for your vulnerability and authenticity. I thought it was a very insightful conversation. I hope we were able to help you also get some things off your chest and be able to tell your story. I think that's very important because, like I said, we celebrate not only the medal winners. Obviously, they deserve it. But the efforts of those who fell short but gave their all for our country, I think they deserve just as much accolade as everybody else. And
Thank you.
no other person is testament to this than EJ. But I hope it's not done. I hope we are still waiting for you for LA.
I'm going to go next year. Yeah, we have 2 world championships next year, so we're going for that.
So you're saying it here, 2 world championships, you're going for that, and hopefully for LA Olympics. Okay, you heard it here. Hopefully we get him here again. Maraming salamat. We're really, really impressed by the willingness, the resilience of EJ Obiena.